Did you know that over 1.5 million people currently living in Australia might face deportation under the new 2025 immigration policy? That's not just a number. It could mean families being torn apart, workers losing their jobs overnight, and students suddenly forced to leave the country they've called home. Sounds extreme, right? But recent government reports suggest that this could be a very real scenario. Australia has always been known as the land of opportunity, but things are changing fast. With new stricter visa rules, tighter borders, and expanded deportation powers, many people are starting to ask, who's really safe anymore? Could you be next? Could your friends or family be affected without warning? The answers are not as simple as you might think. In this video, we're breaking down the 10 shocking reasons behind this potential mass deportation. Some will surprise you, some might scare you, but all of them will open your eyes. Stick around because what you don't know could affect your future. Number 1. National security concerns. One of the biggest drivers behind Australia's potential mass deportation wave is national security. In recent years, global tensions have escalated, and Australia is no exception. The government has made it clear that they are prioritizing the safety of the nation above all else. New policies introduced in 2025 have given immigration authorities greater power to investigate, cancel, and deport visa holders who are seen as potential threats, even if they've lived in Australia for years. What's shocking is that even minor connections to suspicious groups, online activities, or past associations can now raise red flags. Authorities are digging deeper into social media accounts, travel histories, and communication records. People who once slipped through security checks might now find themselves facing immediate deportation, sometimes without warning. Imagine this. You've built your life in Australia, you have a steady job, your children go to school here. But a past friendship, a social media comment, or even traveling to certain countries could suddenly put you on a watch list. The new laws mean that any perceived risk, no matter how small, can trigger serious consequences. This move is part of Australia's broader plan to tighten borders and prevent potential security threats before they happen. But critics argue that these measures may also unfairly target innocent people who have no harmful intentions. It's a delicate balance between protecting the country and respecting individual rights. The question is, where will Australia draw the line? And who gets to decide who's safe and who isn't? Number 2. Economic pressures. Another major reason behind Australia's potential mass deportations is economic pressure. With rising inflation, a growing cost of living crisis, and concerns about local job shortages, the Australian government is under intense pressure to protect opportunities for its citizens first. This shift is changing the way immigration is handled across the country. One of the most striking changes is the tougher stance on temporary visa holders. People on working holiday visas, student work permits, and short-term employment contracts are now facing stricter checks. The government is focusing heavily on sectors that are already flooded with workers, like retail, hospitality, and construction. If foreign workers are seen as taking jobs that locals can fill, they may now be pushed to leave the country sooner than expected. But that's not all. New policies are making it much harder for businesses to sponsor overseas workers unless they can prove there's a genuine skills shortage. This means many people who were relying on employer-sponsored visas could now be left stranded. For thousands, this could mean sudden job loss, visa cancellation, and forced removal from the country. Australia is shifting its immigration focus towards highly skilled workers and industries that offer long-term economic growth. People in lower wage or short-term roles are now seen as less of a priority, and unfortunately, they are the ones most at risk. It's a tough reality. When the economy tightens, governments often look at immigration first. The big question is, how far will Australia go to balance its economy and at what human cost? Number 3. Overstayed visas. One of the most overlooked But serious reasons behind Australia's upcoming deportation surge is the massive number of overstayed visas. Recent reports suggest that tens of thousands of people are living in Australia on expired visas, some knowingly, others unknowingly. Many of these individuals have built entire lives in the country, but under the new 2025 immigration crackdown, their time might be running out. What's changing now is the intensity of tracking and enforcement. In the past, people who overstayed their visas might have gone unnoticed for years, especially if they stayed out of trouble. But with Australia's new digital systems and stronger border surveillance, authorities can now quickly cross-check visa records, track employment histories, and even monitor financial activity. It's becoming much harder to stay under the radar. The government has made it clear there will be less tolerance for expired visas and fewer chances to fix mistakes. In many cases, people who have overstayed may no longer have access to appeals or extensions. For them, the process might move straight to deportation. Imagine living in Australia for years, working, paying taxes, building friendships, and then suddenly being told you have just weeks to leave. That's the terrifying reality now facing many overstayers. This push is not just about enforcing rules, it's also about sending a strong message that immigration laws are no longer flexible. For many, the window to fix visa issues is closing fast. The question is, how many people will find out too late? Number 4. New criminal deportation laws. One of the most controversial changes in Australia's 2025 immigration policy is the introduction of new criminal deportation laws. What's alarming is that even minor criminal offences can now put someone at risk of losing their visa. It's no longer just about serious crimes. Small mistakes could have life-changing consequences. Under the updated laws, the threshold for deportation has been significantly lowered. In the past, deportations were mostly triggered by major offences like violent crimes or drug trafficking. But now, even offences like repeated traffic violations, minor theft, or breaching community rules could lead to automatic visa cancellation. The idea is simple. If a visa holder breaks the law, no matter how small, they could be viewed as a risk to Australian society. What makes this even more unsettling is that there's less room for appeals. Decisions can happen quickly, sometimes with little warning, and people might be given only a short time to leave the country. Many are left shocked to find out that something they thought was a small mistake could now lead to deportation. For international students, temporary workers, and even permanent residents, this is a serious wake-up call. Every action matters. Even minor legal troubles can now carry massive consequences. The government claims these tough measures are meant to protect communities, but critics argue that they could destroy lives over minor incidents. The real question is, how fair is it to judge someone's entire future based on one small mistake? Number 5. Stricter student visa regulations. Australia has always been a top destination for international students, but now student visa holders are facing tougher rules than ever before. The 2025 immigration changes have introduced stricter monitoring, tighter performance checks, and harsher penalties for students who don't follow the new guidelines. One of the biggest shifts is the focus on academic performance and work-study balance. In the past, some students were able to stay in the country while working more hours than allowed or while failing their courses. But now, the Australian government is taking a hard stance. If a student fails to meet course requirements, drops out, or is caught working beyond the permitted hours, their visa could be cancelled almost immediately. The authorities are watching closely. Educational institutions are now required to report students who miss too many classes, fail exams, or breach their visa conditions. This has created a much more stressful environment for international students who are now constantly under pressure to perform, not just academically, but legally. For many, Australia was meant to be a place of opportunity, but now it feels like walking a tightrope. One mistake, one bad semester, or one extra work shift could put everything at risk. The new system doesn't leave much room for second chances. It's a harsh reminder that student visas are now more fragile than ever. Are these changes helping the system, or are they pushing genuine students out? That's a question worth asking. We pour our hearts into making these videos to keep you informed and ahead of the curve. If you found this video valuable, please support us with just one click, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, do you think these new policies are fair or are they going too far? We'd really love to hear your take. Number 6, focus on high-value migrants. Another driving force behind Australia's new immigration push is the country's shift toward high-value migrants. In simple terms, Australia now wants to prioritise skilled workers who directly contribute to the economy and fill critical skill shortages. This shift could mean that many temporary, low-skilled and short-term visa holders are suddenly seen as less important. The Australian government has made it clear that their immigration system is becoming more selective. They are focusing heavily on sectors like healthcare, technology, engineering, and education, industries that are considered essential for Australia's long-term growth. If you work in these fields, your visa pathway may actually become easier. But if you're in a low-wage or entry-level job, your chances of staying in the country may now be at risk. Many long-term residents who have been living and working in Australia for years might now find themselves pushed aside if they don't fit this high-value profile. Even people who have integrated into their communities and contributed to the economy may be told they no longer meet the criteria. The government says this change will help build a more productive and future-ready workforce, but critics warn that it could unfairly punish people who have worked hard and made Australia their home, simply because their jobs are now viewed as less valuable. It raises a serious question. Is Australia valuing people or just their skill sets? And what happens to those who fall outside the list of high-priority industries? Number 7, family sponsorship scrutiny. In the past, family sponsorship was seen as one of the safer, more stable ways to migrate to Australia. But now, under the 2025 immigration changes, family visas are coming under intense scrutiny. The government is introducing stricter checks, longer processing times, and harsher penalties for fraudulent or weak applications. The main reason: the system has been heavily misused in the past. Authorities have discovered cases where people sponsor family members based on fake relationships or incomplete information. To prevent this, Australia is now applying tougher background checks on both the sponsor and the applicant. They are going back years, reviewing old documents, cross-checking financial records, and even conducting surprise interviews to test the legitimacy of the relationships. But here's where it gets serious. Even approved family visas could now be re-evaluated. Some people who were granted residency years ago might face retroactive investigations. If any dishonesty is found, their visas can be cancelled, and deportation could follow, even after years of living in Australia. This change has made family migration much more stressful. Genuine families are now caught in the same intense system as those trying to cheat it. Many fear simple paperwork errors could lead to devastating outcomes. The Australian government says this is necessary to protect the integrity of the immigration system. But it leaves many wondering, what happens to people who've built their lives here, only to lose everything over a technicality? Is this safeguarding the system, or is it tearing real families apart in the process? Number 8, changes in refugee intake. Another major shift in Australia's 2025 immigration policy is the reduction of refugee intake and tightening of asylum procedures. Australia has long been known for its strict approach to border protection, but now the government is making it even harder for people seeking refuge to stay in the country. One of the biggest changes is the lowering of humanitarian visa quotas. This means fewer people will be accepted as refugees each year, and those already in Australia under temporary protection visas are now facing tougher renewal processes. Some will find that the criteria for their visas have changed, making them suddenly ineligible to stay. The government is also applying more rigorous background checks and faster rejection timelines for asylum seekers. In the past, cases could take years to process, but now decisions are being made in months, sometimes weeks. This leaves many people who fled dangerous situations in their home countries with little time to prepare or appeal. What's even more concerning is that some people who were previously granted protection may have their cases reopened and re-examined under the new rules. If their original claims no longer meet the updated standards, they could face deportation, even if they've built a life in Australia. The official stance is that these changes are meant to prevent system abuse and manage Australia's limited resources. But critics argue that genuine refugees, people who need safety the most, are now caught in a system that is closing its doors. So, is this really about protecting the country? Or is Australia turning its back on those who have nowhere else to go? Number 9. Environmental and housing pressure. One of the less talked about, but very real, reasons behind Australia's immigration tightening is the growing environmental and housing pressure. Australia's major cities, like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, are struggling with overcrowding, housing shortages, and infrastructure strain. Simply put, the country is starting to feel like it's running out of room. The Australian government has pointed to record-high property prices, rising rental costs, and congested public transport systems as major concerns. Many policymakers now believe that reducing the number of new migrants could help ease this pressure and give cities the chance to catch up with growing demand. But it's not just about housing. There's also an environmental concern. Australia is facing water shortages, increasing pollution, and growing energy demands. Some experts argue that lowering immigration could help reduce these environmental stresses, especially in areas that are already stretched thin. The problem is, immigration has long been a key driver of Australia's economy and cultural diversity. Cutting back on migration might ease the strain temporarily, but it could also slow down economic growth and lead to labour shortages in critical industries. Critics warn that blaming migrants for housing and environmental issues oversimplifies the problem. These are complex challenges that require long-term planning, not just quick fixes like cutting migration numbers. So, is this really about protecting the environment and easing the housing crisis? Or is it an excuse to close Australia's doors to thousands of people looking for a better life? The answer depends on who you ask. And it's a debate that's only getting louder. Number 10. Public opinion and political pressure. Perhaps the most powerful force driving Australia's 2025 immigration changes isn't policy or economics, it's public opinion and political pressure. Over the past few years, there has been a noticeable shift in how many Australians view immigration, especially when it comes to border control, job competition, and cultural integration. Surveys show that a growing number of people now support tougher immigration rules. Many feel that the system has been too open for too long, contributing to overcrowded cities, rising house prices, and pressure on public services like healthcare and schools. Whether these beliefs are fully accurate or not, they are shaping the way politicians respond. Political leaders are paying close attention to these concerns, especially as elections approach. Being seen as strong on immigration is now a winning political strategy. As a result, the government is introducing tougher deportation measures, stricter visa policies, and highly visible enforcement efforts to appeal to voters who want tighter controls. But this raises an uncomfortable question. Are these policies driven by genuine national interest, or are they political moves to gain public support? Some experts warn that fear-based decisions can lead to unfair targeting of migrants who have contributed positively to Australian society for years. The challenge is finding a balance between addressing public concerns and protecting the rights and dignity of those who call Australia home. The louder the public pressure gets, the more aggressive the policies may become. Is this what the majority truly wants? Or is it the result of fear and misinformation? Australia's 2025 immigration changes are sending shockwaves through communities, raising serious questions about fairness, safety, and the future of millions of people. From national security concerns to stricter student rules, and from economic pressures to public opinion, it's clear that the country is taking a much harder stance on who gets to stay and who doesn't. For many migrants, this is more than just a policy update. It's a life-changing reality. Families, students, workers, and even long-term residents now face tougher visa conditions, quicker deportations, and fewer chances to correct mistakes. The system that once welcomed them now feels like it's closing its doors. While the government argues these measures are necessary to protect Australia's economy, environment, and national security, others believe the changes may go too far, punishing genuine, hard-working people. It's a delicate balance, and the debate is far from over. So where does this leave us? The most important thing is to stay informed, prepared, and aware of your rights. Immigration rules can change quickly, and what's acceptable today might not be tomorrow. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think about Australia's bold new direction.